It all began at the Mercer family dinner, the night my fiancée Lily looked me dead in the eye and said, "Ryan will always be a part of my life. If you don't like that, don't marry me." Ryan, her ex-boyfriend, sat at the same table, smiling like a man who'd already won. So I said one word that ended everything. "Okay." Two families face each other like mismatched portraits. The Coles, my parents and me, polite, ironed, a little out of place beneath chandeliers that think highly of themselves. Across from us, the Mercers are loud by habit, their smiles lacquered like their chairs. In the middle of it all, Lily laughs at something Ryan says and turns to him the way flowers lean toward light. It isn't the first thing I notice, but it's the first I refuse to excuse. Ryan is the sainted stray who never left. He photographs, well, remembers birthdays, and makes rooms feel pleased with themselves. People call him good because they like who they are around him. Lily catches me watching. She traces the rim of her wine glass, testing a crystal note. Her wrist, pale veins, the bracelet I bought her in Florence. The red silk dress. When she laughs, a pulse at the base of her throat. I remember the taste there and how she went breathless when my mouth found that spot. Memory is a reliable liar. Dinner is roasted lamb and practiced compliments. Mrs. Mercer praises the rosemary. My mother praises the table runner. Mr. Mercer praises himself. I talk when asked and keep count when I'm not. Ryan knows as many jokes as there are knives at the place settings. Lily's hair keeps sliding over her shoulder. Every time she tucks it back, Jasmine tilts my way. We have had better nights in worse places. We have had sex on a futon that squeaked like a confession. We whispered futures into pillows we never washed. When the lamb gives way to lemon tart, my mother folds her napkin with emergency precision. I've been looking at the seating chart. She says, mild as weather. There's a name at the head table I don't recognize. Mr. Mercer smiles like a king granting audience. Ryan, of course. We thought he should be right up there with the wedding party. Family. My father lifts one eyebrow, perfected through decades of restrained astonishment. Family. Lily sets down her fork without a sound. Her eyes move from me to her mother to Ryan. Ryan is important to me, she says. He's always been important to us. The table breathes in and forgets to exhale. My mother keeps her voice gentle. That's kind, dear. I suppose I'm wondering why he would be at the head table for your wedding. The room changes. Chandeliers hum as if the current has doubled. Mrs. Mercer lays a hand on Lily's forearm. Code for you are bright, shine. Lily straightens, ready to be righteous. Because Ryan will always be a part of my life, she says. If you don't like that, don't marry me. There are silences that sound like doors closing. This one is a window blown open in winter. Cold air moves through everyone at once. Ryan blinks. My father's eyebrow finally falls. My mother flattens the napkin and leaves it there, a small white flag. Lily looks at me, expecting the old rhythm where she steps forward and I step back because love requires understanding, because generous men wait smiling in doorways while history takes a seat. Two truths land in me. First, I want her even now, the heat of her, the taste of laughter on her mouth, the private geography we mapped in the dark. Second, I've been on a moving walkway of concessions, so long I forgot my legs could lock. I set down my glass and let the waiting word climb into the light. Okay, I say. It is not surrender. It is the sound a rope makes when it stops holding. Lily inhales like she's been slapped. What do you mean, okay? I say, as the room goes still, I won't marry you. Ryan shrinks. Mr. Mercer opens and closes his mouth. Mrs. Mercer's hand lifts from Lily's arm as if the skin turned hot. My mother is very still. My father studies his water glass. Lily's eyes shine, not with injury, but with the first drops of panic. Her fingers hover an inch above my wrist, a ghost of the claim she used to lay. The air between us is the space where sex begins, charged with what could happen if we forgot ourselves. We don't. I didn't mean, she tries. You meant exactly that, I answer. You want to build a house and leave one window unlatched for your past to climb through. You want me at the head of the table with the ghost of your last life, and to pretend I don't feel the draft. Mr. Mercer leans forward. Now hold on. You're overreacting. In modern relationships. Modern is a word people use when they want permission. I say, still looking at Lily. You don't need mine. She swallows. I remember believing in us, like people believe in clean beginnings. Sometimes kindness is a door closing gently. I thought you understood me, she says. I do, I say. That's the problem. Somewhere a fork ticks against a plate because hands forget their tools when the heart goes loud. The lilies keep lying. I push my chair back. The scrape is loud, but not louder than the quiet to follow. As I help my mother stand, my hand brushes Lily's. Heat climbs my arm, a last electric residue of what we were. For half a breath, I want to draw her close, hush the witnesses, write a different ending in the oldest language we share. The wanting passes and leaves the sky clear. Thank you for dinner, I say. The tart was excellent. In the hallway, photographs smile with their mouths. At the door, the knot butler brings my coat. When I step into the Briar Hill night, the cold feels new. My parents follow. No one speaks. At the curb, my mother threads her arm through mine the way she did when I was small and afraid of bridges. Are you certain? She asks. I look at the bright rooms where I once believed a future waited, and then at the dark street unfolding like a promise. I breathe until the cold hurts and decide to keep it. Yes, I say. I've never been more certain of anything. The night swallows us the moment we pull away from the Mercer estate. The gate closes behind with a hydraulic sigh, as if even the metal is relieved. My father drives. My mother stares ahead, hands folded over her clutch like prayer. I sit in the back seat, the leftover perfume of lilies still clinging to my jacket. No one speaks for miles. Street lights flicker through the windshield, rhythmically slicing our silence into measured pieces. My reflection in the window looks older, hollowed by a decision that hasn't yet settled into bone. Somewhere back in that mansion, Lily is probably still standing in the dining room, her parents circling her like vultures with manicured wings. The air in the car feels heavy with things unsaid. I wait for someone to break it, though I know it will be my father. It always is. He clears his throat as we turn onto the Briar Hill Bridge. Are you certain about this? His tone isn't judgment. It's the quiet verification of a man who knows the cost of certainty. I watch the black water pass beneath us, reflecting the scattered orange lights. I've never been more certain of anything. He nods once and grips the steering wheel tighter. My mother exhales, a long, slow sigh that sounds like release. We always hoped you'd see her clearly one day, she says, her voice soft but without pity. I lean my head against the cold glass. I think I did. I just didn't want to believe what I saw. The car hums over the road. In the rearview mirror, I catch my father's eyes. They carry no triumph, no "I told you so." Only the quiet understanding of someone who's seen illusions unravel before. She loved the version of you that made her look good, my mother murmurs. Not the version that stood for something. Her words don't sting. They land like facts long overdue. I picture Lily again, her eyes wide and defiant, her hand hovering over my wrist. There was desire in that moment, a desperate kind of heat born from fear, not love. For years, I mistook that tension for passion. Maybe I wanted to believe her volatility meant depth. The thought makes me smile, bitterly. She said Ryan will always be a part of her life. Then let him be, my father replies, eyes fixed on the road. Let him be her part. We drive through the sleeping town. Briar Hill Heights looks different now, not the glittering hilltop of privilege I once tried to belong to, but a stage with its lights turned off. The manicured hedges, the glowing gates, the facades, they all feel like props left behind after the final act. I roll down the window a few inches. The cold air hits my face, clean and raw. For the first time in years, I breathe without rehearsing it. My phone vibrates in my pocket. I don't need to look to know it's her. Maybe a call. Maybe a dozen messages piling up like small, frantic ghosts. I silence it without reading. Some endings deserve silence, not explanations. We reach the edge of town where the roads turn dark and familiar. Houses shrink, trees take over, and the night stretches open like a field waiting for rain. My parents' house sits at the end of a long driveway, a quiet colonial that smells like cedar and old books. When we pull in, my mother finally turns to me. "You don't have to go back to Willow Street tonight," she says. "Stay here. Rest." I shake my head. I need to be there when she comes for her things. My father glances over his shoulder. "Don't let her talk you into circles. People like that use words like nets." I know. He studies me for a moment, then smiles faintly, the same expression he wore when I learned to ride a bike and fell bleeding, but refused to cry. "Good," he says. As they head inside, I stay in the car for a while. The dashboard clock ticks past midnight. I think about the last few years with Lily, the warmth of her hand under restaurant tables, the soft tremor in her breath when she wanted to be forgiven for things she never admitted doing. Love with her was always a negotiation between what she wanted and what I was willing to lose. The night is quiet, except for a stray wind moving through the trees. My phone lights up again on the passenger seat, Lily's name glowing in the dark. I let it ring. The sound feels strangely distant, like it belongs to another life. When it finally stops, I pick it up and stare at the screen. Missed call. 4 messages. 1 voicemail. I delete them all. Then I start the engine and head home. The drive back to Willow Street feels like exhaling. The streets are empty, the traffic lights all turning green, as if the universe is politely clearing my path. The house appears at the end of the lane, small, warm, filled with the echoes of us. I park in the driveway and just sit there, watching the light from the porch spill across the snow-dusted steps. Inside, the air still smells faintly of her vanilla candles. On the counter, the wine glasses from last night remain, hers half finished, lipstick smudged on the rim. I touch it once, then turn away. I pour myself a drink and sit on the couch, staring at nothing. The clock ticks like a heartbeat. Somewhere between one sip and the next, the weight begins to lift, not all at once, but enough to notice. Outside, the town sleeps. Inside, I let go. For the first time in years, Briar Hill feels different. Not empty, just open. And for the first time, I breathe freely. Morning arrives like a trespasser. Light crawls through the blinds, settling across the hardwood floor where Lily's shoes used to rest. The silence feels different today, less like peace, more like aftermath. I sit at the kitchen table, the ring between my fingers. It catches the sunlight, throwing a small circle of gold against the wall. That ring had weight when I bought it. Promise, pride, the kind of belief you can measure in carats. Now it feels hollow, like a receipt for something that no longer exists. My phone lies face down beside it, buzzing every few minutes with the persistence of someone who doesn't yet understand that a chapter can end mid-sentence. I let it vibrate itself into quiet. When I finally flip it over, the screen floods with her name, Lily Mercer, repeated like a headline across every notification. 6 missed calls, 11 messages, 1 voicemail. Her words stack up in previews I refuse to open. "We need to talk. Please pick up. Ethan, this isn't fair. I didn't mean it like that." But she did. And so did I. The last message reads, "You can't just erase us." I stare at it longer than I should. Then I swipe it all away. By the time I finish my coffee, the phone rings again. Unknown number this time. Against my better judgment, I answer. "Ethan Cole," a woman's voice asks, professional but uneasy. "Yes. This is Sophie Lang. I'm the planner for your wedding. Well, for the event that was your wedding." She's flustered, choosing her words like stepping stones over water. "Right," I say. "About that. I just received an email from Mrs. Mercer asking if the schedule is still confirmed." I wanted to. "It's not," I interrupt gently. "The wedding's canceled. Effective immediately." Silence stretches on the other end. I can hear her inhale, the click of a pen she probably doesn't remember holding. "I see. And do you want me to contact the vendors?" "Yes," I say. "Stop the invitations. Cancel the bookings. Tell Avalon Hall to release the date." The Mercers handled the payments, You can coordinate refunds with them directly. She hesitates. You're sure about this? I look at the ring again, its reflection glinting on the tabletop. Completely. Her voice softens. You sound calm. I am, I say, realizing it's true. When we hang up, the kitchen feels larger. I slide the ring into its box and close it, the small click final enough to echo. Then the storm begins. Within the hour, my phone erupts. Lily's number flashes again and again. Her parents call from different lines, as if I might answer one by mistake. Ryan texts something halfway between apology and defense. Bro, it wasn't supposed to go like that. I laugh once, sharp and humorless. I delete it. By noon, my email fills with confirmations from vendors. Cancellations processed. Deposits non-refundable. Each message reads like a small liberation. Every click feels like reclaiming territory I didn't know I'd surrendered. I go outside for air. The street is quiet. The sky a washed-out gray that matches the ache in my chest. Neighbors nod politely as they pass, unaware that the future I'd been constructing for years has just been demolished with a single word. At the mailbox, I find an envelope addressed in Lily's handwriting. She must have left it yesterday. My name curves across the paper with the confidence of someone who believed permanence was hers by right. I tear it open and read. Ethan, I don't want to fight. Last night got out of hand. You know how my parents are, they push, I react. Ryan just happened to be there. It's not about him. It's about me needing space to be myself, and you needing everything in order. Maybe we just see love differently, but I still want you. Please, let's talk before you do something you can't undo. The irony makes me smile. I fold the letter once and slide it into the pocket of my coat, not because I want to keep it, but because throwing it away immediately would give it importance. Back inside, I stand in the doorway of the living room. Half her world is still here. Paintings, throw blankets, the echo of her laughter in the corners. But something inside me has already moved out. I pour another coffee, darker this time, and let the bitterness anchor me. When the phone rings again, I finally answer. Lily, I say. Ethan. Finally. Her voice cracks between relief and accusation. Why are you doing this? I made a mistake, but you can't just end everything. I'm not punishing you, I reply. I'm just accepting what you said. I was angry, she shouts. You know I didn't mean it like that. You said Ryan will always be part of your life. And you told me not to marry you if I couldn't accept that. So I'm not. There's a pause long enough for me to hear her breathing. Then, softly, you don't love me anymore. I close my eyes. That's not true. I just love myself more now. The line goes silent. When it ends, I know that's the real goodbye. I sit down and let the quiet return. It's heavier this time, but it's mine. Outside, clouds drift over Briar Hill Heights, shading the town in muted silver. Somewhere, the Mercers are scrambling to control a narrative that's slipping through their fingers. Somewhere, Lily is learning that not all men beg to stay. I pick up the ring box, open it one last time, and set it on the counter. Freedom, I realize, doesn't always come with joy. Sometimes it arrives disguised as calm. And calm, when you've lived too long in chaos, feels like the sweetest rebellion of all. By noon, the silence shatters. It starts with a call from Sophie, her voice strained but professional, letting me know the cancellations have triggered a domino effect. The Avalon Hall, the florist, the band, the caterer, all notified, all processing refunds. The news travels faster than common sense, as it tends to in Briar Hill Heights. By 2 o'clock, the Mercer's phones must be melting. I can almost imagine their expressions, disbelief first, outrage second, and finally, the slow realization that their carefully curated image has developed cracks too wide to hide. I'm not surprised when my phone rings again. The caller ID says Gregory Mercer, Lily's father. I let it ring twice before answering. Ethan. His voice doesn't greet, it demands. Do you have any idea what you've done? I have a pretty good idea, I say. We're being charged full rates for half the vendors. The venue won't refund the deposit. And Sophie Lang says you authorized the cancellations. That's right, I reply evenly. I thought it best to inform everyone right away. You thought. He cuts himself off, exhaling hard through his nose. Do you realize how much this costs us? I let a small pause stretch between us. I just respected your daughter's choice. Silence. A deep, offended kind. Then a low growl. You're making a mistake, son. I made one, I correct. I'm fixing it now. The line clicks dead. For a few seconds, I stare at the phone, waiting for the familiar twinge of guilt to surface. It doesn't. What I feel instead is relief, not sharp, not triumphant, just the steady hum of peace returning after too much noise. I pour a drink. Bourbon. The kind that tastes like it's been waiting for this moment. The news spreads faster than any official announcement. In Briar Hill, people don't gossip out of malice. They gossip because silence feels unnatural. The Mercer's modern fairy tale becomes the week's entertainment. Every cafe, every salon, every golf course lounge hums with new variations of the same story. They say Lily's fiancé walked out during dinner. They say he caught her cheating. They say the Mercer's golden image finally cracked under its own arrogance. For once, none of the stories need correcting. That evening, my mother calls. Her tone is calm, but I can hear the satisfaction she's trying to hide. You've started a small revolution, you know. In Briar Hill. I laugh softly. Impossible. Revolutions need honesty. Oh, don't underestimate scandal, she says. It's the town's favorite form of truth. When I hang up, I check social media, something I've avoided for days. There it is, posts, tags, subtle captions, filled with pity disguised as curiosity. Weddings can reveal who people truly are. Sometimes walking away is strength. Lily's name isn't mentioned directly, but it doesn't have to be. The town knows. They always do. I scroll past a photo of the Avalon Hall's grand staircase, empty, decked in the flowers that were meant for us. A caption beneath it reads, "The Mercer wedding, postponed indefinitely." Someone's added a heart emoji. I almost laugh. By nightfall, I hear from a mutual friend that Ryan hasn't shown up at the Mercers since the dinner. Apparently, even he knows when a fire is too hot to linger near. His silence speaks louder than any excuse. I lean back in my chair, letting the weight of it all settle. The Mercers, people who built their identity on influence and poise, are finally facing something they can't manage, spin, or buy back. I imagine their dinner table tonight. No laughter. No Ryan. No Lily's bright confidence cutting through the air. Just the sound of knives on plates and the quiet admission that appearances can't save them. Part of me feels sorry for them. The other part knows this is what truth looks like when it finally refuses to stay polite. The next morning, I wake to a string of missed calls from unknown numbers. Journalists, no doubt. Local columnists desperate for a quote. I delete them all without listening. The only message I keep is from Sophie Lang. Everything's confirmed. You're officially off the books. Wishing you peace, Ethan. I type a short reply. Thank you. You've been kind through all this. Then I set the phone down, grab my coat, and step outside. The air feels clearer than it has in months. Across the street, the trees on Willow bend under a soft breeze, their branches whispering something close to forgiveness. I walk without destination, past the bakery where Lily used to buy croissants, past the park where we once talked about baby names, past every memory that used to make this town feel smaller. Each step feels like undoing a knot that's been in my chest too long. At the corner, Mrs. Devlin, my neighbor, waves from her porch. She doesn't ask questions, doesn't offer sympathy, just nods with quiet respect. Somehow, that small gesture feels like grace. By the time I reach home, I realize something has shifted. The town hasn't changed, the same polished smiles, the same gossip under breath. But I see it all differently now. The Mercers built their world on the illusion of control. I mistook that for stability. They're learning the same lesson I am, though from opposite ends. Truth doesn't negotiate. As the sun dips below the rooftops, I sit on the front steps, glass in hand, and let the calm of the evening settle around me. Somewhere out there, the Mercers are scrambling to rewrite the story. But it's too late. The table of truth has already been cleared. For once, Briar Hill Heights feels honest. And honesty, I think, might be the most beautiful kind of ruin. The knock comes just after 3 in the afternoon. 3, because that's when the sunlight cuts across the living room and turns the air gold. The hour Lily always said made our house feel alive. I hear the sound before I see her shadow through the glass panel in the door. 3 quick knocks, then hesitation. For a second, I consider pretending I'm not home. But some part of me, the one that still counts her breaths in my sleep, already knows I'll open it. She stands there, small against the wide porch, wearing a gray sweater and dark jeans. No makeup. Her hair tied loosely, like she forgot what performance she's supposed to give. Her eyes, though, they still know their lines. "Hey," she says. "Hey." She tries to smile, but it falters halfway. Her gaze slides past me into the house, scanning the absence like it's a crime scene. "You're packing." "I'm helping you move," I say. That throws her. "You can't be serious." I gesture to the boxes stacked by the couch. "Those are yours. Closet, bathroom, half the kitchen." I label them. "Ethan," her voice softens, edges fraying. "We can talk about this. Last night, my dad said some things and—" "It's not about your dad." "Then about what?" "You made your choice," I say quietly. "You told me what mattered most to you. I'm just honoring it." The words land between us like glass shattering. She blinks once, twice, and then steps inside without waiting to be invited. The air shifts. It always does when she's close, a faint charge that hums under my skin. The scent of her perfume lingers, familiar and disarming. For a moment, I hate how my body still remembers her. The warmth of her back beneath my hand. The way she'd tilt her head just before kissing me, as if testing gravity. I fold my arms and stay still. She looks around the room, tracing every empty space where we once lived. The wall where her art hung. The shelf where she kept her plants. The table where we fought, laughed, touched. Her voice trembles. "You're really doing this?" "I already did." Tears threaten, and she bites her lip to stop them. "I didn't mean what I said at dinner. You know that. You were sitting there quiet, and they kept pushing, and I just snapped." "I know," I say. "You snapped into honesty." She flinches. "That's not fair." "It's the first time it's been fair in a long while." Her eyes harden. "You think you're perfect? That you've never said something you didn't mean?" "I've said plenty I didn't mean," I reply, "but never when it came to choosing you." She looks at me like she wants to scream and collapse at the same time. "Ethan, we were planning a life. We were planning an idea," I say. "One that doesn't survive when you keep another man in the center of it." She steps closer. I can feel her breath now, that faint sweetness that once unraveled me. She lowers her voice, intimate, almost pleading. "You know what we had. You know how it felt." "Yeah," I say. "That's what makes this harder." Her hand lifts, trembling, reaching for my chest. For a split second, I almost let her touch me, almost let the memory win. But I take a step back. Her hand falls. She exhales shakily. "You can't just erase me. I'm not erasing you. I'm ending us." She turns away, pacing, her voice climbing. "You think this makes you noble? You think walking away means you're stronger? You're just scared, Ethan. Scared of imperfection, of things not fitting into your quiet little world." "Maybe," I admit, "but I'm more scared of becoming someone who settles for being half-loved." The room stills. The only sound is the ticking of the clock on the mantel, the same clock we bought together at the flea market last spring. She stares at it as though time might take her side. When she speaks again, her voice is soft. "You used to say, I made you feel alive." "You did," I whisper. "But lately it's felt like drowning." She stands there for a long time, breathing shallow, fighting herself. Then she wipes at her eyes, straightens her shoulders, and nods. "Fine. If that's what you want. It's what I need." She looks around one last time. "When?" "Tomorrow. Noon. I'll be here to help." After that, the locks change. Her mouth opens, but no sound comes. She nods again, smaller this time, and walks toward the door. Before she steps out, she pauses. "I really did love you, you know." I swallow. "I know." And then she's gone. The house exhales with her absence. The air feels lighter, emptier, real. I walk through the rooms once more, touching the things she's left behind. The small sweater on the chair, the mug with her lipstick mark, the faint echo of her laughter caught in the walls. Every object hums with memory, but none of them hurt the way I expected. It's strange how love, when stripped of illusion, becomes something you can fold neatly into a box. That night, I sit on the porch with a drink, watching the streetlights blink on one by one. Somewhere out there, Lily is realizing this time I won't chase her. That no apology, no charm, no ghost of what we were will draw me back. For the first time in years, I feel the quiet settle, without guilt. Tomorrow she'll come. I'll hand her the boxes, change the locks, and reclaim the space she once filled. And maybe then, the house on Willow Street will finally belong to me again. By Monday morning, Briar Hill Heights is burning, not with fire, but with whispers. The story of a dinner, of Lily's defiance, and my single word that ended everything, has spread like smoke through every cafe and yoga studio in town. The Mercer's name, once polished to perfection, is now a punchline wrapped in pity. I don't have to read the local gossip boards to know. I can feel it in the way people look at me, cautious, curious, a little impressed. The same ones who once smiled too brightly at Lily now nod at me with quiet respect. The balance has shifted. At the grocery store, Mrs. Ellsworth from 2 streets overleans across her cart. "Such courage, dear," she says, lowering her voice as if the vegetables might be listening. "Most men would have just endured it." "I had good teachers," I reply. She smiles, unsure if it's a compliment or confession, and drifts off. By noon, my phone buzzes with a message from a mutual friend, a screenshot from the Briar Hill Society page. The Mercer Cole wedding has been formally canceled. Both families request privacy. The words "formally canceled" make me laugh out loud. There's nothing formal about emotional collapse. I scroll past comments. Sympathy disguised as gossip, judgment dressed up as wisdom. Everyone has an opinion, and all of them think it's insight. Meanwhile, the Mercer's empire begins to crumble. Mr. Mercer's law firm, once boasting a family-first slogan, loses 3 clients in a week. Mrs. Mercer cancels her appearance at a charity luncheon for personal reasons. Their front gate, which once glittered under floodlights, stays closed now, the gold crest looking a little duller each night. And Lily, well, Lily disappears. For days, she's nowhere. No posts, no appearances, no public defense. It's as if she's been erased by the very spotlight she once courted. I hear, through the town's careful murmurs, that she's staying with her parents again, that she's not eating much, that Ryan, the loyal ghost of her past, has finally stopped showing up altogether. The irony isn't lost on me. The man she claimed would always be part of her life vanished faster than the wedding invitations. One evening, as the sun bleeds over the rooftops, my father joins me on the porch. He brings 2 glasses and a bottle of scotch, the kind he only opens when something irreversible has happened. He pours and sits beside me. "You know, Ethan," he says, "for years your mother and I tried to like her." "I know," I say. "She was charming," he continues. "But charm's like perfume. It fades when you're too close for too long." I take a sip. "And now, he says, looking toward the horizon, "I think you finally smell like yourself again." We drink in silence. Later that night, I get an email from Sophie Lang, the wedding planner. Her message is short. Everything's settled. The vendors confirmed all refunds have been issued to the Mercers. Wishing you peace. Attached is a receipt from Avalon Hall. Total refund, $0. Non-refundable deposit forfeited. A loss of nearly $20,000. For the Mercers, it's not the money that hurts, it's the humiliation. Their perfect image dented by their daughter's impulsiveness, and my refusal to play along. The next morning, I walk past their estate on my way downtown. The gate is open just slightly, enough to see the manicured lawn and the silent fountain in the courtyard. I slow down without meaning to. Through the tall windows, I see Lily's mother pacing, phone pressed to her ear. Her movements are sharp, controlled, desperate. A woman fighting to rearrange a narrative that refuses to obey. In the background, Lily appears, barefoot, pale, clutching a mug like an anchor. She looks thinner. Smaller. Our eyes don't meet. She's too lost in whatever apology her parents are rehearsing for society's forgiveness. I move on. In the days that follow, the town's curiosity shifts elsewhere. A councilman's affair. A real estate scandal. Briar Hill's attention span, like its morals, is short-lived. But something lingers beneath the surface. A quiet respect. People who once called me rigid now call me principled. The same men who envied my engagement now envy my escape. Even Ryan's name fades from conversation. Word is, he left town, took a job in the city. Maybe he ran from the guilt, or maybe from the spotlight that burned him by association. Either way, he's gone, and with him, the last thread tying me to that world. On the 7th day after the dinner, I receive a small envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside is the photograph we took at the engagement party. Lily in white, me in gray, both smiling like we'd already won something. On the back, in her handwriting, just 3 words. I wish differently. I stare at it for a long time, tracing the edges with my thumb. Then I place it in the fireplace, light a match, and watch it curl into flame. As the picture burns, I realize how light I feel, not empty, but unburdened. The town can gossip, the Mercers can grieve their image, and Lily can rewrite her story, however she needs to survive it. None of it matters anymore. What matters is the quiet that's finally settled inside me, steady, earned, and mine. For years, they called Briar Hill Heights a place of perfection. But tonight, as I watch the ashes drift up the chimney, I realize perfection was never the goal. Truth was. And truth, as it turns out, looks a lot like ruin. Months slip by quietly, like pages turning in a book I've already read. The noise fades, the gossip, the pity, the questions. In its place comes a stillness I didn't know how to recognize at first. Silence isn't empty, it's patient. It waits for you to fill it with something real. Lily's name disappears from conversation. Someone mentions she moved back into her parents' smaller house by Ridgewood Park. I don't ask for more. It's better that way. Some stories shouldn't be revisited, only left to decay naturally. My own life becomes a pattern of work and solitude. I throw myself into the Avalon Theater restoration, a project I'd started long before the engagement, but abandoned when love demanded center stage. Now it's all I have, and somehow that feels right. The theater is old, a century of dust and echoes. Its roof leaks, the velvet seats are moth-eaten, and the stage floor creaks like it remembers every secret ever whispered there. Yet beneath the ruin, there's potential. I see it every morning when I unlock the heavy doors. A promise of light waiting under years of neglect. Each day begins the same. Coffee, work boots, sawdust on my jeans. I learn the language of wood and plaster, of rust and paint. My hands toughen, my muscles ache, and the ache feels honest. Sometimes, late in the afternoon, when sunlight pours through the broken stained glass window, I catch my reflection in the dusty mirror near the stage. There's a man there I barely recognize, leaner, quieter, steadier. I think he's who I was supposed to be all along. The solitude doesn't bother me. There's a strange intimacy in it, a quiet awareness of your own company. I eat when I'm hungry, sleep when I'm tired, and speak only when necessary. The world outside keeps spinning, but inside Avalon, time behaves differently. One evening, as I'm sanding the railings, a woman from the Historical Society stops by. Her name's Emily Vargas, brown hair, dark eyes, a calm energy that fills space without demanding it. She asks questions about the project, genuinely curious. We talk about preservation, art, the way old places seem to remember emotions better than people do. When she laughs, it's soft and unforced. I notice the way her lips curve, the way her fingers trace the edges of the blueprint, as if she's trying to feel the theater's pulse through paper. There's a flicker of something, not heat exactly, but warmth. I don't chase it. I let it exist quietly between us, like the scent of sawdust in the air. She visits again the next week, bringing coffee and a few design sketches she's drawn. I thought maybe the foyer could use light, she says, her smile shy but certain. We work side by side for hours. At one point, our hands brush as we both reach for the same pencil. It's a simple touch, but it sparks something, not longing, but awareness. The kind that reminds you you're still alive, still capable of feeling. When she leaves, the air smells faintly of her perfume, cedar and citrus, a far cry from Lily's jasmine. I stand there for a while, not thinking of comparison, just difference. Weeks become months. The theater begins to change shape under our hands, scaffolds replaced by polish, dust traded for light. The once crumbling marquee now glows again, each bulb a small act of defiance against the years. By winter, the Avalon stands proud, reborn from decay. Its walls hum with quiet strength, as if grateful for the attention. I feel the same. The night we install the final light fixture, Emily and I sit on the stage floor, sharing a bottle of cheap champagne. She tilts her head back, watching the chandelier scatter golden light across the ceiling. "It's beautiful," she says. "It's honest," I answer. She smiles. "You say that like they're the same thing." "Maybe they are," I reply. She studies me for a moment, and I feel her gaze the way I once felt sunlight through blinds, warm, cautious, searching. There's tension there, but not the dangerous kind. It's quiet, respectful. When she finally leaves, I walk her to her car. The snow has started to fall, flakes catching in her hair. She thanks me, touches my arm lightly, and drives off. The tail lights fade into the distance, leaving only the sound of the wind and the faint hum of the restored theater behind me. I stand there a long time, breathing in the cold. The town is asleep, but I'm awake, alive in a way I haven't been in years. The Avalon glows behind me, a silent witness to everything that's been lost and found again. And for the first time since Lily, I don't feel haunted by the past. I feel ready for whatever comes next. The first thing I notice about Europe is the quiet. Not silence, just quiet in the way the world hums when it has nothing to prove. Streets breathe instead of shout. People move without the need to be seen. It's a kind of peace I didn't know existed outside imagination. I land in Florence first. The city feels like it's been exhaling beauty for centuries. Every wall, every shadow, every cobblestone seems painted by someone who cared too much. I rent a small apartment overlooking a narrow street where voices echo at night like soft confessions. The mornings belong to the bells. They wake me before the sun, each chime gentle and deliberate. For days, I wander without destination. The Duomo's dome towers above me like a heartbeat carved into stone. I stand before it for hours, thinking about structure, how something can stand for hundreds of years simply because it was built with intention. Maybe that's what I lacked before. Intention. One afternoon, I visit the Uffizi. The paintings blur together until I stop before one, a small portrait of a woman, unnamed, her gaze fixed somewhere past the viewer. There's no drama in her eyes, no plea for attention, just quiet awareness. She reminds me of Emily Vargas. Or maybe she reminds me of what peace looks like when you stop mistaking it for boredom. I keep traveling, Prague, Vienna, Paris. Each city peels something old off me. In Prague, I learn stillness in the rain. In Vienna, I learn solitude doesn't mean loneliness. And in Paris, I learn how to exist in a crowd without needing to belong to it. Paris is where it finally happens, the moment I know I've changed. I'm sitting at a cafe near Montparnasse, sketching the street the way Emily once sketched the Avalon foyer. A woman at the next table smiles and asks, "Are you an artist?" I tell her, "No, just someone learning to see again." She laughs, not the brittle performative kind, but real laughter, unfiltered. We talk for a while about nothing, coffee, the weather, how Parisians manage to make even boredom seem fashionable. There's no spark, no instant connection. And that's the beauty of it. Attraction doesn't have to be chaos. It can be calm curiosity, shared silence, mutual presence. When she leaves, I stay, tracing the pattern her shadow left on the table. I realize I haven't thought about Lily in days. Not in anger, not in longing, just not at all. By the time I return to Briar Hill Heights, spring has arrived. The air feels new. The world, unfamiliar in its gentleness. The Avalon stands waiting, tall and luminous. The marquee glows the Avalon Theater, grand reopening this June. I run my hand along the railing Emily and I restored together, feeling the smooth grain beneath my fingers. She's away for a medical conference, 3 months in South America, but she still texts me pictures of places that remind her of the theater. Her messages always end with "wish you were here, but I'm glad you're there." That small sentence holds everything the last relationship never did: space, respect, sincerity. I move into a new loft downtown, steel, glass, and light. No trace of the past. I furnish it sparsely: a sofa, a desk, a shelf of books, one framed photo of the Avalon's chandelier the night we lit it for the first time. I've learned that beauty doesn't need to fill every corner. It just needs to breathe. Sometimes, late at night, I walk the city streets alone. Briar Hill has changed since the scandal, or maybe I've just stopped caring how it looks at me. People still whisper, but the whispers no longer sting. They pass like wind through open windows. On one of those walks, I pass by the old Mercer house. The gates are closed, the lights dim. The once proud mansion feels like a hollow monument to denial. A "for sale" sign tilts slightly in the front yard. The name Mercer has faded from the mailbox, a ghost of gilded letters still visible beneath the rust. For a moment I stop. The air smells faintly of lilacs, her favorite flower. I close my eyes and let the scent drift through me, not with pain, but with quiet understanding. She was never evil, just lost. And I was her compass until she realized she preferred wandering. When I walk away, I don't look back. At home, I pour a drink, open the balcony doors, and let the city's low hum wash over me. The night is alive, not with noise, but with motion. A kind of living rhythm I can finally move with instead of against. I think about the year behind me, the broken engagement, the collapse, the silence, the rebuilding. Every step stripped something away until only the essential remained. I used to believe peace came after resolution. Now I know peace is the resolution. I sit there until dawn, watching the skyline turn from black to silver to gold. The first light touches the glass buildings, scattering reflections across the streets below. For the first time in my life, I don't feel like I'm standing outside my own story. I'm in it, fully, quietly, unafraid. And I realize something profound in that soft morning light. The future doesn't begin when you find someone new. It begins the moment you stop looking backward. The Avalon's grand reopening feels like a dream someone else planned, and I simply stepped into. For weeks the air in town has buzzed with curiosity. Posters on cafe boards, write-ups in the local paper, whispers about how Ethan Cole rebuilt the old theater with his own hands. When I walk through the entrance that night, the lobby glows like honey. Light spills from the chandelier in threads of gold, tracing the marble floors. The air smells faintly of paint, polish, and promise. People fill the space, dressed in their best. Laughter echoes under the high ceilings. It's strange to stand here as the center of something again, but this time the attention feels clean. Not gossip, not scandal. Admiration without the hunger of judgment. Reporters mingle near the ticket booth. The mayor gives a short speech about preserving culture through passion. I listen, smiling politely, but my mind drifts. My hands still ache from the final week of work, the rails, the lights, the seats, yet I wouldn't trade the ache for anything. It's proof of ownership, of effort that built instead of broke. When they call my name, applause fills the hall. I step onto the small stage. The same spot where dust once thickened the air now gleams under new lights. I look the crowd, familiar faces, new ones, some I never expected to see again, and take a slow breath. Places like this, I begin, don't die because of time. They die because people stop believing they're worth saving. A soft murmur moves through the audience. I continue, voice steady. A year ago, I stopped believing a lot of things were worth saving. And maybe that's what had to happen, so I could rebuild the right ones. Applause again. Warm, genuine. When I step down, Emily is waiting at the edge of the crowd. She looks radiant, black dress, hair loose, smile effortless. We meet eyes, and for a heartbeat the noise fades. She squeezes my hand, and in that simple touch I feel the calm I once mistook for emptiness. The rest of the evening passes in flashes. Handshakes, photographs, glasses of champagne. At one point, I glance toward the lobby doors and freeze. Across the room, half hidden behind a group of guests, stands Lily. Her presence is a ripple in still water. She looks older, not in years, but in weight. Her hair shorter, her dress modest, her posture unsure. She's holding a folded program like it's a shield. For a long moment, neither of us moves. I see recognition flicker in her eyes, then regret, then something softer, the quiet acceptance that comes when even hope has grown tired. I nod once. Nothing more. No words, no anger. Just acknowledgement. She lowers her gaze, presses the program to her chest, and slips out through the side doors. Emily notices the exchange, but says nothing. She just threads her fingers through mine, grounding me. "You okay?" she whispers. "Yeah," I say. "I think I am." Later that night, the newspapers run the headline. Briar Hill's Avalon Theater returns, and so does Ethan Cole. The photo captures me standing under the chandelier, smiling in a way I haven't in years. Somewhere across town, I imagine Lily scrolling through the article on her phone. I can picture the light on her face, the way her reflection must look in the glass. Pale, distant, remembering. Maybe she's sitting in her childhood bedroom, where the wallpaper still smells, faintly, of her teenage perfume. Maybe her parents are arguing downstairs again about everything they lost trying to keep up appearances. And maybe Ryan, her perpetual fallback, has finally found someone new, someone easier to impress. I don't take pleasure in any of it. There's no victory in watching someone learn the same lesson too late. But there is clarity. She'll see the photograph, the theater, the lights, my smile, and realize something I learned long ago. Not all endings are punishment. Some are preparation. The next morning, I walk through the Avalon alone. The scent of last night's celebration still hangs in the air. Champagne, perfume, warm dust from too many footsteps. I step onto the stage and look out at the empty seats. The silence feels sacred. I think about how far I've come, from that dinner table of lies to this hall of light, from a man who waited for love to choose him, to a man who builds instead of begs. The past hasn't disappeared, it's just lost its power. Every betrayal, every heartbreak, every lonely night, sanding wood in the dark, all of it led here. I sit on the edge of the stage, running my fingers along the polished boards. We did it, I whisper to no one and to everything. Outside, the city wakes, cars humming, people laughing, life moving. I take one last look at the chandelier and lock the doors behind me. As I step into the morning, sunlight spills down the street, sharp and golden. It glints off the theater's glass doors, catching my reflection. For the first time, I don't look away. The man staring back isn't the one who begged for love at someone else's table. He's the man who walked away and never once looked back with regret. A year passes before I see her again. Briar Hill's annual arts auction has become the event of the season, a parade of money, manners, and whispered ambition. The Avalon hosts it this year, its chandeliers glowing like captured suns. I arrive with Emily on my arm, both of us dressed in understated elegance. She in soft blue silk, me in black tailored restraint. It's strange how easily happiness settles in when you stop chasing it. Emily doesn't demand space or fill silence with proof of affection. She simply is calm and confident, the kind of presence that makes the world stop needing permission to be still. As we move through the crowd, I notice how people greet me now, not as the man who lost a fiancée, but as the one who built something worth remembering. The shift is subtle, but real. I shake hands, smile, answer questions about the next project. Emily laughs easily, drawing people in with her warmth. Then I see her. Across the room, near the auction tables, Lily stands in a black apron, her hair tied back. She's one of the volunteers, cataloging paintings, handing out paddles, her eyes downcast in quiet focus. For a heartbeat, the world stops. The music dulls, conversations blur. I take her in the way you study a photograph you haven't seen in years. She's thinner, softer around the edges. Her confidence, once a flame that consumed every room, has turned into something gentler, almost fragile. When she finally looks up, our eyes meet. It's a quiet collision, no anger, no longing. Just recognition, like seeing a ghost you've forgiven. Her mouth parts slightly, as if she might say something, but she doesn't. Instead, she gives a faint, sad smile, one of acknowledgement, not invitation. Emily touches my arm lightly. "You okay?" "Yeah," I say. Just a familiar face. She follows my gaze, studies Lily for a moment, and nods without judgment. She looks sad. "She probably is," I answer, and I mean it with no cruelty. We move toward the main hall where the auction is about to begin. The host's voice rises above the murmur, thanking donors, praising restoration work, and mentioning the Avalon as a symbol of rebirth and endurance. I glance at the chandeliers above us, the same ones I cleaned by hand a year ago, and realize how far I've come. Lily stands at the back now, clipboard clutched against her chest, eyes fixed on the stage. She looks smaller from this distance, almost like she's blending into the crowd on purpose. The first painting sells for $20,000. Applause follows. I clap too, but part of me drifts, remembering the first dinner at her parents' house, the table, the laughter, the sentence that ended everything. "Ryan will always be a part of my life." I can still hear it, not with pain now, but with understanding. It wasn't just arrogance. It was her truth. And the man I was then couldn't live with it. The man I am now doesn't need to. Between bids, I glance back once more. She's still watching, eyes glistening, though she quickly looks away when Emily leans closer to whisper something that makes me laugh. I see the moment Lily's shoulders slump, the recognition that the past no longer belongs to her. For years, I carried anger like a relic. I thought forgiveness meant excusing someone. It doesn't. Forgiveness is simply remembering without the urge to return. When the final auction closes, the crowd applauds. The orchestra strikes up a slow melody, and Emily turns to me with that patient, radiant smile. "Dance with me." I nod. We step onto the floor as violins sweep through the air. Her hand rests on my shoulder. Mine finds her waist. Our movements are quiet, deliberate, a rhythm we don't have to force. Around us, conversations fade into background music, laughter blending with the rustle of silk. From the corner of my eye, I see Lily standing by the exit. She's holding her clipboard like a barrier, but her gaze lingers. I wonder what she's thinking, if she's measuring the distance between who we were and who we've become. When our eyes meet one last time, I smile. Not cruelly, not even wistfully, just enough to say it's okay now. She lowers her gaze, turns, and disappears into the hallway. The song ends. Applause rises again. Emily rests her head against my shoulder and whispers, "You look lighter." "I am," I say. Later that night, as we step outside, the city hums beneath the stars. The Avalon's lights spill onto the street, golden and soft. I pause, looking back through the glass doors, at the stage, the crowd, the space that rebuilt me. "Ready to go?" Emily asks. "Yeah," I reply, taking her hand. As we walk away, I realize something quietly profound. Peace doesn't come when you win. It comes when you finally stop needing to. And behind us, the Avalon glows like a promise kept.